frame. Turn around. Turn around. Sit. All right, wait. Okay. Roll. Wait.
The California glassing. Super, from my understanding, they're just so super short on polishers.
Everything. Almost isn't good enough, though.
All right.
We're gonna need some tools, though.
Yeah.
What's the first question?
Why do you shape surfboards?
Oh, all right.
No.
Oh, fucking dang! Look at that. Okay. Okay. So why do I shape surfboards? Well, the easiest answer is I wanted to make a board for myself. I started surfing 1996, 97, and it didn't take me too long, being someone that was curious about how things are made, where they come from. I realized that surfboards are made by hand, and they still are. And back then, there were no machines making surfboards. So I just realized that why not my hands make that surfboard? And, I bought a blank and hacked my way through the surfboard, which is sitting outside collecting. It's an ant colony right now. And it was an intoxicating experience. Very good with my hands. I used to try to build these crappy guitars in high school, and the bodies looked good. They sounded terrible, they played terrible, but they looked good. So, I was really drawn to the art of removing foam. And, it was kind of just therapy. It was this wonderful, material that was light as fluff. And, it was something that you put under your feet and you rode a wave on. And it was kind of like this magical connection between your hands and the materials and the joy that it eventually brings you. And now it brings other people that I make. So that's really where it started for me. And like I said, it was very intoxicating. And once you get a taste, you're kind of addicted. And I think anybody that's good at anything in terms of a craft or an art has to be addicted to whatever it is they're doing. Otherwise, they're not going to have the level of success that I think the people that really have an addiction for what they're doing tend to have. So, yeah, I got addicted. And that was, 21, 22 years ago. So, and that was just one a year. Now it's 50, 60. Hoping for 100 one of these years. But that's where it all started.
And why is hand shaping a board special, especially in comparison to your customers come to you for a hand-shaped board, for the feeling of a hand-shaped board?
Right.
And what makes your board special, knowing that it's hand-shaped in comparison to a CNC machine or coming out of a factory?
I think there's a couple reasons why. The lineage, right? There were no machines in, the 20s. Well, really going back to ancient Polynesian times when, they hacked them out with machetes. But, in the modern era, they were made of redwood, cedar, weighed 120 pounds. They didn't have electric planers. It was just all by hand and hand tools. And, that persisted up until the advent of the CNC machines, which was maybe early 90s, late 80s, when that technology first became implemented into the sport of surfing. So definitely the lineage. I think that there's a connection between the ancients, the guys that really first made the sport, what it is today. So that's a big part of it, I think, is paying homage to where it began. But the more important thing is if someone is coming to me for a surfboard, they're looking for something custom, right? And while you can plug numbers into a computer, there's an art and a science to it. that is also custom, right? Because it's the shape that and the mind of the person programming the computer. It's still custom, but there's still, for me, it's just a little bit of a disconnect between, you know, taking the feelings, the nerves that I have in my hands and my fingers and arms and shoulders to create that vision that the customer, my surfer, usually a friend, and I kind of form together. So for me, it's doing the craft, meaning the art of making a surfboard, but also the actual surfboard itself, a disservice by not using your hands. The only power tool in this that I use is well, the skill, 1960s power planer. But everything else is done by hand. So for me, I think there's an authenticity about it that is really important to maintain the tradition of hand shaping. And yeah, I think that's about it. It's just really creating something custom. And if you're going to create something custom, you have to do it with your own hands. Great artists don't use a computer to paint with. Well, some do. It's just a different art form. And I'm not saying that the computers are bad. It's just a different way of making a surfboard, and it's not my way. But there's nothing bad about it. But I do think that there is something that has more soul. Really, it's all about soul when you hand shape a board.
Obviously, there is a ginormous sense of community in building surfboards. Moreover, the sense of community, especially in Jersey Shore, where we don't get waves all that often. Right. And we don't get the best waves, and our surfing community is real small. So what does you being a shaper on the East Coast, even more exclusively for Jersey Shore, and what does that mean for you and the lineage of surfing and the tradition and the community in the larger, grander picture?
Yeah. So when I started surfing, it was a pretty tight group of guys. Spring Lake, Regan was one of them, Bill Maloney, Tom Kling. For me, it was, I had moved to the area and I didn't really know anybody. And I started surfing, and that's how I met people. Met people in the water, surfing. You're near each other. Eventually, you're just going to start talking. I'm not the most social person in the world, but eventually someone comes over and starts talking to you. So that sense of community is really important because you know each other, you become friends in the water, you become friends outside of the water, and any society really, it depends on the strength of how the members of that society care for each other. And that's what makes a community, is people who have like-minded ideals and activities and enjoy that together. So it kind of transcends the water, and that friendship that's formed in the water kind of blossoms and flourishes outside of the water. Some of my best friends I met surfing, and I've known, ever since I've been surfing. And it's just a wonderful way to meet people. And and the thing about New Jersey is when we get good waves, it's good, and we tell everybody about it. And, you ask a surfer from New Jersey if they get good waves, and we'll be like, yeah, and you're gonna know it. So that 2 times a month, yeah, it's like, shut up already. So we don't get great waves. So if you don't care about the people that you're surfing with, it's like sometimes the only reason you go surfing is because your buddies dragged you out of the water, and because you don't really want to go, but you want to go spend time with your friends. And it's kind of motivating in that capacity. So that's a little side benefit to having a nice group in the community, because you're not always surfing. I guess that's true for anywhere, but I think it's a little bit different in New Jersey because New Jersey is a bit of a different state. It's a bit of a different breed, and it's kind of a bond we share. And I think that New Jersey mentality filters its way into the water a little bit. And there's just a little bit of extra pride that we have, and if you can surf in Jersey, you can surf anywhere, which is true, considering the variety of waves we have.
Why is your logo a elephant?
Oh, right. I haven't really told many people this. So going back to the community, right? So if you think about a herd of elephants, it's a very socially structured entity, right? It's the matriarchs and patriarchs take care of the herd. The herd takes care of the young, and the young respect and admire their elders. So in that sense, it's almost like the absolute ideal sense of family, right? And if humans could actually look at the elephant society and say, we do need to be a little more like a herd of elephants, the world would be a better place. So in a sense, I think like if you talk about going back to community, I look at the ideal lineup, the ideal community of surfers almost as a herd of elephants, where you have people who have been surfing their whole lives, know the spot intimately, little grumpy, but if you show respect, you'll get respect eventually. Some guys it takes a little bit longer. But the most important thing is you all have to look out for each other, right? So surfing is there is an inherent risk, and no matter how much you may dislike someone, if they're in trouble, you're going over to help them no matter what. But the whole point is that the model of surfing, ideally it shouldn't be a place of, it should be a place of release and joy. And if you look at the way a herd of elephants acts when they're not being poached, God forbid, but you can just tell that they have this just wonderment, this sense of joy that, hey, our lives are amazing. We care about each other. They laugh together. They play together. They eat and they sleep together. It's just a great sense of everyone kind of working towards the same goal. And that isn't just enjoying life. So I think of the elephant kind of representing a little bit of that in surfing, that it should just be about going out, making friends, meeting friends, making new friends, showing respect, getting respect, and just enjoying everyone that's around you in your group.